Hi, I'm Mike McCarthy, and I help people with their breakups. And today, I don't have a breakup. Well, yeah, I do have a breakup story. So today's Sunday, 10:30 Indochina time. If you're following the schedule on Instagram, there's a new schedule for this week. I will be having a live stream every day this next week. So if you're interested in jumping in on those in the live streams, we do have a topic, but I am open to questions about the last 30 minutes or second 30 minutes of the live stream. So you can always chime in and ask questions that don't pertain to the live stream. If you like this video, throw me a like. If you don't like it, that's fine. It's better to have an opinion. If you have a topic for a future live stream, put it in the comments below and I'll consider it. And if you have some sort of take on the story I'm going to present today, which is an interesting one, a lot of times people come to breakup channels and YouTube things to get their ex back. I don't hear this come up a lot. I think a lot of times when people are in this zone, they don't believe they need help because they're getting some needs satisfied. But today it's, why does your ex still see you, or why do you still see them? Why do you see them? Why don't you get back together? So you're seeing each other, you're officially broken up, but you still see each other. There's going to be a story I'm going to unpack in a moment and get to that, and it will shine some light on this topic. If you have a issue in your breakup right now that you want to unpack with myself in a FaceTime or Skype, writemac.com, you can book a session today and we can get to the bottom of things, unpack it fully. And if you don't find it useful or helpful, I will refund you your money. That's sincere, that's honest. And at the end of every coaching session, I will say to you, was that useful or helpful? And at the end of every session, so far, so good. In 3 years, people say yes, or they say, that was great, or they say something positive. If they say it was negative, bad, not good, they're unhappy with it, I will refund your money. So if you also would like to send in your breakup story like this individual just did, go to writemac.com. It's $25 for a YouTube response, and I'm going to do one today. So we got 5 on deck, 1 like. Thank you. Welcome. And next week, I'm going to actually do a few more nighttime episodes, which are going to be more beneficial for some people in different time zones. So as you know, I'm in Indochina, I'm in Phuket, Thailand, and so the time zone's different for everyone around the world. So let's get into it today. Why does your ex still see you? Well, short answer, they still have feelings for you. They still have attraction to you. There's 3 pillars to a intimate relationship or a long-term relationship. There's more veins to this, there's more roots to it, but I just call these the 3 main pillars. Number 1 is trust. Number 2 is connection / chemistry. And number 3 is attraction / intimacy. And you could break those up into different smaller groups, but you know where I'm going with this. And if you look at it and you ask yourself, on a scale of 1 to 10, what's my trust? On a scale of 1 to 10, what's our connection and chemistry? On a scale of 1 to 10, what's our attraction and intimacy? The really interesting thing is, at the point of a breakup, trust is the one thing that probably gets nailed the hardest, because you have both said, wait a minute, negotiations are off, we're no longer playing this game, and this is when it gets real for each of you. And so I think that right now, change this mic. I think that there it goes. Let me know if there's any issues with the sound here, but I working towards that. So if your ex is still seeing you and you're still seeing your ex, you both still have feelings. You have enough connection, intimacy, and trust that you still like seeing each other. A lot of times, not always, a lot of times intimacy will win the day when you've been apart for a week, 5 days, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. Now, someone's like, oh, intimacy is not everything. No, it's not. But if you're apart for a little while and you're missing each other, it definitely reclaims the sparks for a moment. And so if that's part of why you guys still see each other, that is going to be your primary reason. Even if you think it's otherwise, the other question you have to ask yourself, so why don't you get back together? What's holding you back? Should you get back together? Right? And you obviously have something in your head that goes, yeah, I don't want to get back together, but I still like seeing this person. Right? And so getting to the bottom of those questions and really being honest with yourself will bring to the surface what's going on. Now, please put in the comments below if you've had a situation where why does your ex still see you, or why do you see them, and where are you at with things? And if you'd like to send in your story to writemac.com, I can help unpack that on the live stream. Scotty W, how you doing, mate? I hope you're well also. So today, like I said, I'm going to unpack a story. I was going to maybe wait for a few more people to hop on that are late to the scene. But this is going to be a really good one. I think this is an interesting story, an interesting situation, and a scenario that actually probably comes up for a lot of people. But like I said, people don't generally seek break advice and pain until they're in full-on worry, until they're in a mode where they feel like something's going to be lost. So I watched a really interesting well, thanks, Joe Wilds. It says my connection's unstable, so I'm going to pause a moment here. Anyone else having problems with the connection? Scotty W's done a live coaching session with myself. I think he can attest, Joe, that I am not fake, and I take that as an honest compliment. And I've gotten it again and again that my approach is genuine. It is, because there is a lot of snake oil out there, right, for sale. Joe, if you have a question or you're going through a breakup, please feel free to post. If this is a situation you've been through before where you continue to see your ex and you're wondering why you don't get back together. So I'm going to get into this story now. Hi, Coach. My name is, okay, we don't mention names on the stories that are sent in. I'm from LA and my current ex is from London. So that's nice little context to know that you guys are from different places in the world. So we don't really look at the world the same. I would say that's probably true. Londoners and LAers, LAians are probably different. We were together for over 3 years now and just broke up about 3 or 4 months ago. Okay, that gives me a little bit of context. This is a good way to write. She's 35, I'm 38, so same age range, same places in life, hopefully. She's a makeup artist and I'm a photographer / writer. Like a surprise, surprise, you live in LA, right? Or you say, I'm from LA. I'm assuming you live in LA. Like a lot of people out there, COVID has hurt our business. And what you just said is true. It's not just you, my friend. We are freelancers and I don't think COVID accommodates us well. Okay. I would have to agree. I would say that it's probably going to affect you guys a lot more than someone that has a stable job. Anyhow, moving forward, we've had an interesting relationship. We were introduced by a mutual friend. Both of us had just been out of bad breakups with partners that were bad alcoholics. So we had that in common, and really we bonded over that a lot in the beginning, sharing our experiences and stories. So this is really interesting that, a lot of times people think, oh, we were attracted to each other right away. It was love at first sight, you hear sometimes. Right when we got together, we just bonded. The idea that you have some common ground that's actually maybe negative to some people counts for something. And the fact that you both dealt with alcoholics in your own way and had some stories and experiences to share is definitely a reason that a couple can bond and work into something. So I think that's actually a positive thing for both of you, and that you've probably built your relationship probably on a lot of compassion for each other. And it was probably timely when you met each other in that sense. It was therapeutic for both of us. Then we developed a deeper bond and, of course, became officially partners about 4 months after dating. Then at about a 2-year mark, we decided to move in together. I thought we were ready and things were going well, but there were some immediate issues. She has a chihuahua. God, I love dogs. But chihuahuas, I would say, was probably on the low end of the totem pole in the dog world for me. I would say that they are annoying. They do have an annoying bark. I've had friends or family members that have had them, and they are annoying as hell. It actually reminds me of the Taco Bell commercial back in the day, if you remember that. So he writes, I thought we were ready for things. We were going well, but there were some immediate issues when they moved together. She has a chihuahua that I thought I could handle, but the little shit just barks and barks. My neighbors weren't too pleased, and I couldn't really blame them. My ex seemed to get defensive instead of trying to find solutions. She went out of her way to make enemies of my neighbors, even letting her dog piss on their property repeatedly. Well, this says something about her character, but there is a lot of people out there that let their dogs piss on other people's property and just regard it as, oh, the dog just has to go. I understand where they're coming from, but I do think people are a little careless about this sometimes. And it's certainly one of those situations where you're caught in the middle. But it's interesting that you say that, instead of trying to look for a solution, she just gets defensive. What she's doing is what a lot of human beings do is look at it. Well, this is how I see the world. This is my dog that I love so much that I can see no wrong in. And the fact that it's barking all the time, you just have to deal with it because I pay rent, kind of a thing. Very selfish standpoint, but a lot of other people in the world would be in the similar outlook as her, because people look at their dogs or their pets, their dogs or their cats like family members, like their kids. And so they can be defensive and they can be highly biased. Seeing as she wouldn't get rid of the dog, I decided we could move somewhere with more of a yard for this dog. Deep down, I didn't want to move. I love where I live, but to save the relationship, I moved. So it sounds a bit dramatic that you moved for this one dog and to save the relationship. That being said, the question would be, can you find a apartment, house, or home dwelling that's equal or higher value and actually enjoy the search for a new place? I mean, I've lived in a variety of different places in my life, and I've lived in places where I went, okay, I misjudged that I would like this place. And you should look at finding a new place with some excitement and go, okay, I'm going to take this really seriously and find a place that's going to suit me. And so it's not all bad to move. If you really loved where you lived, and whenever someone says they love their job or they love a restaurant, it's different than just liking a place, right? There's a difference in vocabulary being used there. The question would be, do you have some kind of resentment that you had to move because of the dog, right? So deep down, I didn't want to move. I love where I live, but to save the relationship, I moved. We moved farther from the city, and even though the dog was better off and the neighbors were no longer a problem, I immediately disliked the location of where I lived for a variety of reasons. But I signed a 1-year lease and decided to grind it out rather than move again. Well, I mean, 1-year leases, if you're in London or LA, I'm not sure which place, I'm sure that they're very strong and that there's a lot of money to be lost if you abort it. I would say that also you have to give yourself some kind of responsibility and accountability that even though you disliked where you lived, you still had a say in it because you looked for the place. But honestly, in doing so, I grow deeper contempt for the dog and my current ex. So this is why looking back, you probably realize that. This is what happens when people do something for someone else that they don't really want to do for someone else, but somehow they do it begrudgingly, put on a game face, and then as it goes on and on, you begin to get more and more resentment. This resulted in more petty arguments, such as her taking so long to get ready when we met friends, something she always did. Not surprised, if she's a makeup artist, I would assume she puts on makeup a lot. So this went on for a year. Then our lease came up and I was excited to go look at new places. This time I was ready. I knew where to go and what I wanted. Only my ex seemed happy to stay. This felt non-negotiable to me, as I felt I had been waiting to move for a while, and I brought up how I sacrificed a lot for her dog. She didn't agree and even laughed, saying I was being dramatic, and she could tell that I had grown to love her dog. I said, don't mistake being a responsible adult that feeds and walks a house pet with loving it. There is a difference. It's actually interesting it says this because I have a couple friends that are a couple, and close friends, actually. I don't see them regularly because we don't live on the same continent. But recently went to visit them. They have 2 dogs, house dogs. They take care of them. And my friend is non-emotionally involved with the dogs in any way. He actually went to his fiance and said, hey, look, the dogs are getting a bit old, and it's kind of becoming a nuisance. They've had the dogs for, 7 or 8 years. He goes, do you think we should just get rid of them now? I said, you said that? And he goes, well, they're just, he goes, I don't mind like taking care of them because because that's what you have to do, but I don't love having them around. So it's kind of interesting that you just assume that someone goes, oh yeah, because they live with the dogs, they love them and whatnot. It's more of a responsible act for some beings. She erupted and packed her stuff that night while talking to her dog and telling it how I didn't care about her anymore. Okay, so now she's accusing you of being dramatic, and she comes back to you with drama 101. So the main issue, if we can get back to it, the main issue, if we can get back to it, is that you want to move places. You feel like you've made a sacrifice to move places. You've spent a year there. She didn't know. It doesn't sound like you didn't convey to her that you didn't really like that place over the last year, and she seems settled in. So it's basically you're in two different directions. What I would say is, hey, I know the 1 year lease came up. But can we maybe entertain the idea of moving somewhere else? See how that's a bit different than saying we need to move. I'm so happy. I only did it for the dog. Then there's a guilt trip involved. So if you would have presented it in a way that, hey, let's take a look at some other places. She erupted, packed her stuff that night while talking to her dog and telling it how I didn't care about her anymore. So I went in the room, talked her off the ledge of ending the relationship, and I even hugged the dog. So again, this seems like something that you do in this relationship where you're giving in to something you don't really want to do. And what happens is you feel like, okay, to save the relationship with someone I care about, you're being actually dishonest. And what happens is, over a long period of time, you're putting a fire out, but deep down inside, you're still burning. Does that make sense? So deep down inside, you're saying like, oh, it's okay, but it's not really okay. And so this is what creates petty arguments. Creates contempt, and contempt is what leads to breakups. So she erupted back. So I went in the room, hugged her dog. She seemed satisfied. Deep down, I felt crappy and desperate. So right here is a really good example of why you need to write your story out and send it in and get it unpacked, because you didn't convey you felt crappy, desperate to her. You conveyed it to yourself right now. The next day, I still looked for new places out of curiosity, and because of COVID, a landlord said he'd cut a good deal. It was a significant savings from what I had viewed as a better location. Dogs were allowed, so I presented the idea to my ex. Again, she erupted. Well, the idea is she thought that was done and dusted. She got her way. She won. She never had an interest in moving, and so she feels now like you went behind her back and you're trying to renegotiate something that's already been negotiated. Dogs are so. And this sounds like a person that is dug in on what they believe. And going back to the situation of when you had neighbors before that were upset about the dog barking, and she turned it into a situation that was a fight rather than an understanding that, hey, my dog's barking a lot. How can we work this out so the neighbors aren't affected by this? Shows me that she's a selfish individual that's going to put herself first. So don't be surprised when you came home and were like, I found a place, and she's not going to budge. This time I had enough. So I presented the idea to my ex. This is the new place to move to. This time I had enough. I walked out and slept at my sister's for the night. My sister then told me how selfish my current ex was and baited me into to go all in on a breakup. Well, here's the thing about baiting. You have to be interested in the bait, right? A fish doesn't swallow the hook unless they are hungry and it's something they want to eat. So the idea that you've been baited into an all in on a breakup is one of these things where you're trying to take some of the responsibility out of the decision that you made in the end. And if I'm correct, I think your sister was correct in saying that your ex is selfish. The next day I texted her that I had enough and I wasn't happy. So this is the first time you've been honest in a long time. Correct me if I'm wrong. She said, fine, told me to get my stuff, and that she'd put an ad out for a roommate. Till then, I was responsible for half the rent. So right there, she's established that, okay, fine. In other words, we need to do this breakup. I agree with it. She's not fighting it. But it's important that I find a roommate for the finances, and it's important that you pay half the rent right now because I can't cover it. So she's okay. She's accepting the breakup on her terms, right? I agreed. Okay, hopefully you agreed. So he says my name was still on the lease, and I didn't think it would be difficult to find a new roommate. I'm laughing because there's an effort involved in finding a new roommate, and it could be difficult based on what the person's credentials or credential seeking abilities are. So, she could make it difficult. Maybe she doesn't really want a roommate and she just wants you to pay half the rent for the rest of her life. So then COVID happens more and her work is shut down. So I guess what you mean by that is that it's spread. Her work is shut down. Suddenly I'm responsible for all the rent. So this is one of those situations. This is a judgment call. You aren't necessarily fully responsible if you're both on the lease, but as someone that cares about her and you have the ability to help out, this is a judgment call. So you don't have to do this. Basically, she invited me over a couple weeks after the official breakup, and I had already moved out. She then full on seduced me. Okay, so here we go again. This is similar to when you said your sister baited you into a decision. This woman seduced you into intimacy. Take accountability for you making decisions as a 38-year-old. She then full on seduced me, and we had some of the greatest intimacy of my life. Well, forgive me for not feeling sorry for having the greatest intimacy of your life, but good for you. I woke up the next day. She was making breakfast, and it felt good. I didn't even mind the dog. So isn't it amazing what outstanding, good intimacy will do to other feelings about negative issues? So that's when she slipped in that help with the rent was needed. So you were already helping with the rent, but she's just solidifying this, I guess. We agreed that living apart was a good idea and that we could still see each other. I like this idea as I was already on some dating apps and welcoming the idea of being single. So the fact that you've already pivoted this far and we're already interested in dating someone else means that your feelings aren't as strong as someone might be that's been with someone 3 years. So over the last few months, we've stayed in contact. She's been hot and cold at times, sometimes even angry out of nowhere, accusing me of leaving her and not even caring about her. Well, keep in mind, women are highly emotional creatures or humans. And this is common probably even if you were living together. Correct me if I'm wrong. Emotions are up and down more often for women than are for men. And there's probably moments where she feels like if there's financial issues and stuff like that, that's how she's feeling. Then I leave her alone. I think, okay, we are done, only for her and I to hang out again and have great intimacy. So you're running a playbook. And the playbook goes something like this. You're not getting along. You don't like each other. Things are messed up. You're drifting apart. Someone in the relationship, it looks like she has the keys to the intimacy department, goes, all right, you're drifting apart. All right, why don't you come over and why don't we reconnect? And then all over again, you're like, wow, this can work out. But the reality is the dog going to be a problem again? Do you really want to move in together? Do you want to just continue to see each other this way? It's a choice. I mean, seriously, best intimacy I've ever had. So what's really interesting about this, and I think it's absolutely true, the idea that you've gotten space and that you've given each other space, you've both accepted that the breakup had to happen. So there's no turbulence in that department, even though she said a few times dramatically that you don't care about her. You still get together, and the fact that you don't get together regularly has created a level in the bedroom that you haven't seen before. Here's the thing. I'm still on the hook for the rent. I don't mind as I have the savings and we are cordial, but where does this end? Well, that's a choice on you. This is where you need to speak up, be responsible and accountable for your own decisions, and ask yourself, what am I willing to do? Am I willing to pay the rent for the next year? Because the longer you do it and the more you do it, the more it's going to be expected. And so what are you getting in return? Do you think that the intimacy and the meetups that you've had are tied to the idea that you still pay the rent? I'm not saying that's true, but that's a good question to ask yourself. I've dated some other women. Nothing has come of it. And I do miss my ex sometimes. Sometimes the fact that you miss her sometimes probably is a result of the fact that you haven't officially all in broke up. Right? So you're not going to really feel how much you miss her until you guys are completely no contact or you feel like you're done. Sometimes I even think we can make it work, but then I think, no, writes 5 O's. I would say at this point, I don't think you'll make it work, being that you went straight into some dating apps, you moved out quite quickly, you had some issues that were reoccurring, and so I think you did the right thing in moving out and moving forward. And you are a human being that, when struck with good intimacy, if not the best you've ever had in your life, you're going to continue to see each other. Now, is that intimacy tied to the fact that you aren't living together? Is a good question. She does something selfish to remind me of why I did break up with her. So, okay, so this is tied. Sometimes I even think we make it work, but then I think, no, she does something selfish to remind me of why I did break up with her. What am I holding on to? Honestly, it sounds like the intimacy. I mean, that's the best part of you guys linking back up. Why can't I just leave, or why doesn't she just leave me? You're still attracted to each other. You still have feelings for each other. The breakup wasn't that horrible. There's not anything traumatic in there either of you are holding. And so you could get back together, but you'd have to work a couple things out as far as the dog goes and whatnot. It just doesn't sound like you want to get back together. And it doesn't sound like she's missing you so much. And the reality is, are you guys treating each other as a holding place till someone actually meets someone else? And then one person's going to get really, really hurt. Can we work this out? Of course you can work it out. You obviously still have feelings for each other. The question is, do you want to? And how much do you want? I think you're going to be sensitive to any kind of remotely selfish act she commits, because you already have it in your head. That's why you broke up and you're happy to be without it. And the other thing is, if the intimacy is really good while you're apart, if you got back together and say live together, would that impede on that? Probably, actually. Probably. If we are having the best intimacy of our relationship, why change things, right? Yeah, but how long is that going to last? I agree 100%. And I'm all good. I'm all for outstanding intimacy, and I understand where you're coming from and what you mean by that. And I do think that a big part of it is that by not seeing each other regularly, you guys build up these feelings, and neither of you are seeing other people. And so where you used to see each other regularly, and might I add, the reason why it's so good is that you're preparing for the moment. So if you haven't seen each other for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, and this playbook you've been running where when you do see each other, you hook up, it's going to be good. It's going to be good because it's been a long time waiting. It's kind of like you have a favorite food, like your favorite place to have a cheeseburger. I'm not even a cheeseburger person, right? And you're only able to have that once a month, and you really look forward to it. So that's what makes it special, where if you ate that cheeseburger every day, you probably won't feel well. All right, let's get into it. Joe Wilds, we got 7 on deck, 3 likes. Thank you for the audience here. I haven't seen my ex in over a month in person. I'm doing no contact. Unfortunately, she is in a new relationship. Already everything people say about rebound relationship is happening in order, so who knows? Joe, bottom line is, rebound or no rebound, it doesn't really matter. If she's in a new relationship, you're done. I mean, what do there's some silver lining in the fact when your partner is with someone new, because you realize to yourself, what am I going to do? Compete? What am I going to do? Ask if I can be second in line. It doesn't work out. Have some dignity, have some pride. And the reality is, some people come to me and they go, I just knew it was over. To me, for my lines of values and my own identity and the way I see myself, once your ex is with someone new in an official relationship, I'm done. If you were going to revisit it, it wouldn't be anytime soon, even if that relationship crumbles that they're with. And I've seen this before many, many times, where someone goes, oh, I got back with my ex because they just broke up with their rebound and they're back with me. That's not some kind of individual I want to be with. Hey, coach, 4 months since breakup, give up all hope. Tihinder Mar Waha. This is a question that I can't really answer because I don't know what happened in your breakup, and I can't really respond if I don't know the details. So if you want to send in your story to writemac.com, I could give you my take. If you want to give me some more details right now, I could give you my take. But this idea that I could somehow crystal ball this situation where you just say 4 months breakup, give up all hope. And here's the thing about a statement like that: highly dramatic, victim based. So the idea that you're coming from a place that you need hope for your ex to come back or for you to be back in a relationship, I don't think you need hope. I think you need confidence in yourself that you can make it on your own. I believe that you need to be all right with the fact that if that individual chooses not to come back, that you're going to keep showing up in your own life. This idea that hope's going to be some part of them coming back, I think that that's something that if you cling to that and they do come back, have you done the work or have you fixed the problem of why you broke up? You sent your story to me last week, huh? Aloha, Keisha Shaw. I hope you're well. You drinking lemonade, mate? No, this is not lemonade. It's water, and it's apple cider vinegar with a little bit of turmeric and ginger. And I just put a cap full in my water. So I've been drinking this for a little while. It's supposed to be quite healthy for you. I hope that's true. You send in your full story to my email or my website, Keisha. Because if I have it right here, I'm not seeing it. Didn't you send in your story? What's up, Blake? Sure. Oh, Blake, what's going on, bud? Kentucky, right? If I'm correct. Any updates on your situation? Yes, sir. Blake's a good man. We did a live coaching session together. I hope you're doing well, doing better. It seems like you got really clear by the end of the session because sometimes I talk to people, they're still connected to this. And with Blake, I think that we just unpacked everything. We got to the bottom of it. And hopefully, maybe your email, huh? Resend it. If you can go to your email right now, Keisha, and resend it, I'll unpack it right now. Yeah, she wants to hang out but doesn't seem interested over text, then throws shade in the name of joking. Did you pay? Do I repay? So you paid through the website of rightmac.com for. Okay, send me an email about this. If this was last week, I've just been in the process of changing my website. Tell me when you paid and because I don't remember getting a payment from your name. Was it through Stripe or through PayPal? She wants to hang out but doesn't seem interested over text. This was in regards to just reading your email on a YouTube video, or you want to do a private video response, Keisha. I'll get to the bottom of this right now today. Blake, have you seen any other women or what's going on? Because to me, your situation with that woman was she has a lot going on. Seems like you had good intimacy. You had good intentions. You were doing all the right things. And she was the one that was a bit of a mess, and she was going to be constant problems and issues. And so if I were you, I would disentangle from her. You can read it on YouTube. Okay, go ahead and resend it to Coach Mac McCarthy right now. Tell me when you paid, and I'll go re-look it up. Obviously, maybe your name's not Keisha Shaw on your payment thing. Do I repay? So just send me that right now, and if you do it quick enough, if you can resend it. Was it under the name? Yes, sir. Last night I hooked up with a new girl. Good for you, Blake. That certainly helps heal the wounds, right? I just had a client that I talked to a couple weeks ago, and we've done some coaching multiple times. unpacking a situation where he has an ex that keeps coming into the picture and that they have extremely good intimacy with, but he knows she's bad for him. She's highly manipulative, and he keeps wanting to get back, not wanting to get back, and so on and so on. And so we've worked our way through this. And so the final coaching session we had, I was like, damn, this guy's really turned the corner. I mean, the way he was talking, he was like, you know what, Mac, I'm done with her. I've thought about it, this and that. I'm like, wow, this is, I was getting to a point where we were getting a bit redundant about some things. And then about 30 minutes in the coaching session, he explains to me how he's just hooked up with some woman that he met at a restaurant bar situation that went really well. She came back to his place, had a really good connection. And so I can't help but think that part of him turning the corner is proving to himself that he could meet someone of equal or higher value. And this is extremely underrated. That part of you turning the corner is having the ability to fill that void. And I don't think everyone's ready to fill that void right away, and they certainly aren't capable of it just by snapping their fingers. And someone's not, just because you go to a pub or a restaurant and you have some drinks and there's a lot of women there, and you have the intention of taking someone home or feeling better, doesn't mean it's going to happen, because it's not the movies. It's kind of funny when you watch movies that people in bars and restaurants just walk into sets of women, or vice versa, women walk into sets of men, and they just immediately connect, hook up, have good conversation. And the reality is, if you've ever been in a bar or restaurant, when I say bar restaurant scene, I'm thinking lounge kind of thing. You go out, and there's certain friends that you have, women or men, that are highly attractive in their own way, or that's just their environment where they do really well with the opposite sex. And they have a high propensity or a high rate of meeting someone and possibly going home with them. The reality is, even if they have a high rate, they still don't guarantee themselves that. And so you can go 10 times to the bar or restaurant with the intention of meeting someone, and maybe 1 or 2 times hook up with someone. And this is where I talk about really knowing the environments that you want to meet people in, and the type of people you want to meet that could be possible partners. Now, dating apps have changed all that, and they've erased the idea of finding someone that's single or interested in mingling, because they cut through all that. Before, you'd have to go, hey, how you doing? And someone's like, oh, I'm getting married next week. Okay, done. All right, done. Like, you don't have all this information. So dating apps have gotten to a point where someone goes, oh, this person's available. Oh, this person wants to hang out this week. Like, you get all this information, so you have more options. The problem, I guess, that people don't like about dating apps is the idea, that you're going on a picture and you're going on text, and there's a lot of surface communication that once you meet the person, you go, wow, I'm not as attracted to them as I was to their photo. Wow, after, talking to them in text and now being in person with them, we just can't bust through the idea that this is just mediocre, right? And so this is what comes up a lot. So getting back to the topic, though, let me know if any of you have this issue out there. Why does your ex still see you? Why do you still see them? Why don't you get back together? The question comes up, right? So I would say the number one reason couples still see each other is you have something or a couple things that they still find of value. And so in this story that I read earlier today, it was a couple of things. Obviously, they have good intimacy, but the fact that he's also paying the rent on his side of the apartment that they used to live together in, she's not saying that directly, but there's some value right now that she's low on money. And someone might say, oh, she's using him. No, I don't think she is. I don't think she's using him at all. All right, Keisha, I'm going to check this right now. Please, on the live stream right now, if you guys have any questions about your breakup, or if you have a situation why does your ex still see you, or why do you see them? Keisha, I'm going to check this right now on my email. Did you use the name Keisha too? Hmm. Yeah, it's got a different name, huh? So, oh, you missed a lot, Rob. Okay, the one we had a session on leaves me on read a lot, then sends me a nude picture randomly later on, then proceeded to act uninterested in talking. She said she has feelings for me. So confusing. No, it's not confusing, Blake. Um, it's not confusing. It's not confusing at all. This is a playbook she's running, and this is very similar to the story that you told me that she was running with you. She's interested in keeping you on the line while she has about four other poles in the water because she's going to fish excessively. She's not looking. She's not looking for a long-term relationship, and I don't even think it's that she wants to keep Blake as a black backup option. I think that she's promiscuous. She likes the attention, and she was also anchored to a relationship that was highly manipulative, that what she had kids with, and so there's moments where she likes the attention from you and she likes the intimacy from you, and that's why, hence a nude picture. But she doesn't want a long-term connection. And you play knowing situation and talking to you, you're a good guy. She's not used to that, and it's foreign to her. She wants to keep the relationship shallower, and but at the same time, she doesn't want to lose that interest for you, and so she can get that back anytime by sending you one of those nude pictures, and it's fun to her. And any given week or day of the month, she might be in the mood to hook up, but she's never gonna make it as serious as you thought it would be. She's never gonna turn the corner, and if she does, it's gonna maybe be for a day or 2 days or 3 days. She's not commitment based, Blake, and she's proven that. And even if you went above and beyond and you had all the golden brick road ready for her, and we talked about this because I remember your story, Blake, that you went above and beyond and you would, move her in and help her out with the kids, and she still couldn't commit. That tells me that she has some issues of knowing what she really wants or knowing what she's capable of. And right now, she'd prefer to just have a shallow relationship that is just surface based and intimacy based. And if you're okay with that, she'll do it, but it's going to be on her terms, and she's going to cat paw the hell out of you. Familiarity, a big reason as well. Fear to let go. Yeah, Scotty, I agree 100%. No problem, Blake. You're good people. Familiarity, I agree. A lot of times I left that out, and you're absolutely correct, Scotty, that familiarity is a big reason that we don't let go. So even if the relationship has its holes, at least we know what to expect. At least we know what we're going to get. And so this goes back to the bedroom. Is like you go to yourself, you go, all right, my ex maybe needs to borrow money, or my ex is going to give me shit about the way I dress or something like that, right? But at the day, I know if I hang out long enough, we'll hook up. Subconsciously, you're not admitting that, but that's really the carrot at the end of the stick. And so if I do this, this, and this, I might get a piece. And they know if I give them a piece, I might get this, this, and this. And what's really interesting about familiarity is it has to do with comfort, and it has to do with predictability. And so this is a big reason why we take jobs we don't like, right? And we take a job where they go, all right, you're going to work 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, and these are going to be your duties. And let's say some guy. I'll give you an example. I remember years back, And Keisha, I'm not ignoring you. We're going to get to the bottom of that, and I will read your story, and I will make sure that whatever happened with the payment gets fixed. If not right now, right after this live stream. So please send an email about that. Getting back to the familiarity is a big reason as well. I think the familiarity thing is tied to comfort and predictability. And so there's a good book called The Like Switch with an FBI agent that wrote it that says familiarity is actually friendly familiarity is something people are attracted to because they know you're not going to hurt or kill them. And this is a reason why, example, Scott W., it's like if you live in a neighborhood and you go for, like right now I live near the beach, I go for a morning walk at the beach probably 6 times a week. And when I go to the beach, I don't do a lot of talking, but I come across a lot of people that walk the beach regularly. Now, are they my friends? No, not really. We don't really have deep conversations. We don't have a deep connection. But when we see each other, what do? Right? Sometimes I see them outside of the beach. What do? Sometimes they even wave, because the familiarity of knowing that I'm a friendly face, it's not going to hurt them, actually makes us like each other. Okay. So the familiarity of the relationship and knowing the pitfalls. But here's where I'm going to make it a little deeper and maybe make it deeper context, because I'm glad you brought this up. When I've thought of this before, like, why do people stay in bad jobs? You know, the amount of people, myself included, I've had many jobs since I was 16 years old. I worked a few different retail jobs, and I just knew, I was like, I'm not going to do this forever. But obviously I kept a job that I didn't really like for a reason. Why is that? Because I know I can get paid. I know I can get something that's important to me at the end of the day, and I know what I have to do to get that pay. Now, you don't take it. What happens when you continue on a job that you really don't like is you don't even have time to sit back and go, what's an alternative to this job? Or you don't have the guts, gusto, or juice to put yourself out on the island and go, if I let go of this job, am I capable of finding a better one or knowing what I really want to do? It's very similar to a breakup, right? And that's big. And it's one of those things that, like I said, you know someone, or you've been there before, where you've been at a job, you won't let it go because you feel like you need the pay, when in reality you can get pay somewhere else, right? The reality is you're doing the job that you don't like because you're getting some guarantees of certainty. Okay, at least I get my check at the end of the month. Okay, at least I know exactly what I have to do to get my money. And if this problem comes up, I know how to fix it. You're letting go of the fact that you're not really happy with it, though, and that you could be a lot happier doing something that was more fulfilling to you. And I think the same exact thing happens in a relationship. Sometimes it could be the intimacy. It's like, all right, I can do this, this, and this and get my intimacy. I can do this, this, and this and get dinner cooked, whatever. And so it's like I said, it's a constant playbook. All right, was watching the basketball game, backup option. Oh, the attention-seeking type. The nude photos reel them in most times. Yeah, it's a technique. It's catpawing. We are discussing why the ex still wants to see me. What's up, Philip Carlson? How are you, buddy? Hope things are well. This might apply somewhat to your situation, Philip, in the live coaching we talked about, because your partner wasn't currently your ex, but you were seeing each other regularly. Not bad. It's better than bad. Got 10 on deck, 5 likes. I will have a live stream every day next week. The schedule will be on Instagram, Coach Mac McCarthy. What was the place that you said to put it also? Rob IS, YouTube what? It will be on every day next week. It'll be on varied times, though. We talked the last 3 days. Did it go well, Philip? Or are you still at a stalemate? Probably what to see, you or your parts. A good nude photo will get someone's attention, won't it, though? It will get someone's attention, that's for sure. Stalemate. Do you feel like you gave in, Philip? Hey, Mac, I missed the stream last night. Familiarity, mate. Um, was it last night that we have? Yeah, okay. Well, yesterday was story time, so there wasn't a whole lot of people on deck. The most popular live stream this week was surprise, surprise, Jessica's breakup. I don't know who was on for that or who saw it after the fact. I think that was the most popular. Obviously, the most popular streams are the ones that people like. Yes, I did give in. Did you feel like by giving in that you hurt yourself? Familiarity may or may not breed contempt, but it takes the edge off admiration. Don't confuse familiarity with the truth or stagnate in the fear of losing what is familiar. Take a risk. God, that's so true, man. It's so true. I think in taking a risk, you you have to feel like what you're taking a risk for is worth it. Yes, I think so, but I tried. Philip, in your situation, I didn't feel like, in listening to you in the coaching session, I didn't feel like you were um, giving in by contacting her again. You had a unique situation and a unique set of circumstances. And so it wasn't like I thought you were just being weak or needy. I thought you had a right. And I told you that if you wanted to reach out to her, this wasn't a situation where you just went straight no contact. It had some twists and turns to it that you had a right to contact her and maybe work through some things. And if not, then you could maybe stand strong. I never send naked pics because it stays in the cloud forever. Don't do it. I was on Jessica's stream. Finally, I made it. So did you enjoy that? Anyone having another person on? I'd like to do more of that in the future. Maybe even with you, Mary. Maybe even with Scott, talking about a past breakup. Maybe we can do a phone call. And even though your breakup might not be new, it's like Jessica's breakup was over a year and a half ago. And it's just so interesting. I've known her for years now, and we've had a lot of conversations about different things. And then that had came up when it first happened, and she was sensitive about it. And so I didn't. I wouldn't. Sometimes there's a line, like I said, that your friends or your family member or people you're close to, they don't want you to play breakup coach. And so I stay away from that a little bit sometimes because they want you just to be a friend. And I think it's a different hat to wear. I'm okay with it, but nothing is going to change and it sucks. Well, it's not the first time something sucked in your life, right, Philip? I understand, but at least you have clarity on where you stand right now. And if you led with good intentions and honesty, usually you have less regrets in your life, right? If you leave things like I wish I would have just said this or said that. The problem I have is when people go, "Oh, I want to send them one more story or I want to send them one more letter." And I'm like, "But you already said that. If you didn't say what you had to say one last time and you really left it on a bad note, especially if you left it on an ultimatum or a negative note and you want to leave it not just on a positive note but a clear note. What do I mean by that? You want to leave it on a note where you're being upfront and honest and going, "Hey, look, I can't do this anymore. I still have feelings for you." I just watched a master class. If I don't know if anyone knows it's been on ads on YouTube. I have it called Master Class, and it has all kinds of different classes on negotiation. And I found that really, really interesting. I actually took notes. I should have brought them in here. And some of the stuff lines up with relationships and breakups. And one of the things that stood out to me was he had this one that was 7:35, 7:35 and no 7:30 and 55. Think about this for a minute. I'm going to catch you guys here because I watched about 2 hours of this thing, and this one stood out to me most. 7:38 and 55. What does that mean? What do those numbers mean? True, but you got a lot of watches. Joaquin, how are you, buddy? How did I know how to say that correctly, right? Where are you at in the world, bud? And why did you put your name up? So the ex continues to call. We talked for hours about nothing. Uh, Keisha, did you send me the email? If you were able to find the email right now, I'll unpack it in this coaching set, in this one right now. Doing okay back first time on. Right on, Joaquin. Okay better than doing bad, right? I'm definitely have to check that payment for you. Okay. Yeah. So if you send it to me right now, and I'm gonna check about that payment, Keisha, because I'd have to check my Stripe and but if you're able to find the story or what you can't find it, oh no. Okay. Worst case scenario, we'll get to the bottom of it. I'll take care of you. Um, Lost track of what I was saying. Okay, sorry. 738.55. What does that add up to, Rob? You're the smart one on the scene. No offense to everyone else. Um, what do you think that means? So in the world of so the guy's like 738.55 immediately like what the hell is this? 738.55 is it equals 100. I knew you'd get that right away. Genius. The little Rain Man. Definitely 100. Little Rain Man Rob. So um so communication and some professor or someone that did gobs of research or whatever, the data, the science suggests whatever. 7% of your message or the way you're talking to someone is the content. 38% is the tone. 55% is the body language. So where does that leave us on text? Isn't that kind of amazing? And would you agree with it? 7% is the content, 38% is the tone, 55% body language, and how the message is received. So I don't know if I agree with that 100%, but that makes sense. I mean, I would think tone would be higher. And so he's saying when you communicate through text or email, it's very important. Most people interpret text or emails negatively if they just think it's a little bit negative. So he said it's very important to. This kind of surprised me to write. Instead of saying I can't go to the dinner tonight with you, I'm afraid I can't go. So then it's got a tone that says, I have some remorse. I really would like to go, or this isn't a negative thing, or I'm not angry at you, because people can't read that. Or I'm sorry to tell you that I can't make it tonight, rather than I can't make it tonight. It's much colder. People automatically interpret it as cold, and so like I said, I've said this before, in text, and I don't know why more people don't, myself included. I use it a bit, but in any of these apps, like WhatsApp or any kind of Facebook Messenger, any of these applications where we communicate through text, which there's numerous ones now, why people don't use the voice part more often. I mean, I have a good friend that actually talks to her friend using this all the time, where you hear what the person says, then they say something. So you can literally have a conversation using this. But body language is 55%. Do you think that's true? Would you think that body language is more important that much than tone? I think that we lose track of the fact of how much body language is interpreted subconsciously. That being said, there are some people that aren't so observant, right? I consider myself very observant of people, and so I read body language very well. But it's like anything else. You have to feel like you're good at it and make an effort at it. But 55, I thought tone would be higher. And one of the things that in this negotiation class he talks about is some of the other things are interesting because I already use them in the way I negotiate now, and I didn't know what the terms were called, or I never was taught them. Mirroring and labeling is quite interesting. Maybe I'll do a whole show or topic on this in another video, because I'm getting a little off topic here. So I never send naked pics. I did, but your curtain's too early. I'm okay with if nothing happened. Okay. Doing okay. First time on. Joaquin, let me know if you have any questions. Text is left for interpretation, many times false interpretations. And that's what he said. He said you really have to punch home when you're not being negative, because people will assume negativity. Meaning law of attraction, but also law of allowing yourself to let go, or law of acceptance that literally changes your state of mind. Yeah, I'm one of those. Whenever someone sends me a text, and they use like a LOA or one of these things, I'll immediately ask, like, what does that mean? I don't try to assume. His body language is huge. And what was interesting, this guy mentioned, was like, if you're in a meeting or you have a group of people. So let's say you have a group, and this, I guess this could apply to, let's say you're out with 3, 4, 5 friends. Let's say four friends. You're out with 4 friends. Obviously, 2 people are having a conversation. The other 2 friends are just listening. You're not paying attention usually to what the other friends are reacting to what you're saying. But if you probably had a video camera, or you're just observant like myself, I tend to notice what the people on the peripheral are doing when you talk, and you can pick up things. You can pick up how other individuals feel about what you're saying without them saying anything at all. I think tone is equally important. Yeah, it's interesting, right, Philip? I mean, to say that body language is that much more important than tone, it's really interesting. I suppose that when you're in person as a human being, I guess body language would be more important, in the sense that the way human beings evolved, there was a certain point in time where you were scared someone might hurt you. Maybe that's part of it. I'm oblivious. Mirroring is big in the Pua world. I mean, mirroring is one of those things. NLP, all these things use it. No, and whether they want to claim it or not claim it, it's up to them. It's just a form of communication that shows someone that you're listening well. And I have used it many times before, and I use it unconsciously. So I have noticed when I've tried to use it and I've overused it, if an individual is sharp and they listen well, they'll catch it. There are people that will catch it and be like, why do you keep repeating my words? So the idea that no one ever notices isn't true. I'm just trying to understand the format. I found your videos after a super tough breakup. The format, in regards to the live stream, or in regards to what, Joaquin? Right now, if you want to ask any questions in regards to your breakup, the floor is open. So what I usually do in the live stream is I'll talk about a topic, I'll unpack it for a little bit. Sometimes we'll go far with it, sometimes we won't. And then if there's a good conversation going on the live stream, I'll continue to go. Yes, if you have a question about your own personal breakup, please shoot. Let me know what it is. If you have some kind of, if you want to send your story in and you want to book a live coaching session, or you have a couple questions about that, let me know if you're really going through it. Who is the person that came on and said, you're the only person that doesn't seem fake? Is it really that bad on YouTube? Is it really that bad when you enter on YouTube and you're in a breakup? And I've gone around to the different channels, and sometimes I'm shocked by how many new channels there are. And what's shocking is how many times in my comments in my videos that people have these fake, hey, so-and-so spell dealer saved my marriage, and so you should go to 1-800-858. And like the amount of people, it's just such a cheesy ad. It must work though sometimes, right? But the funny thing is sometimes I've found people cheesy or fake or salesy, and I feel like I pick it up right away. But there's other people I talk to that say they've talked to these people. So, the reviews aren't always great, but who am I to say who's good for you and who's not? We have not talked about the breakup only life in our day. She has not brought it up either. Interesting. Does she know? Does she consider that you fully broke up, Philip? That would be my question. Hmm. I would. I mean, if you're continuing to talk and your breakup wasn't crystal clear, that would be a good question to ask. Does she consider you guys broken up right now? Scott W. On your topic, often X wants to see you because of that familiarity, and life isn't going so great for them. But where were they when their life wasn't going so well? Yeah, yeah. It counts, dude. It counts, man. That's a great point. Good to have you back on the live stream, Scotty. Um, it's something I've talked about in the book I'm writing, and you're gonna have more trouble with your breakup, or you're actually gonna have more trouble with the breakup depending on where you're at in life as an individual. Someone that's gonna pivot out of a breakup, they have a great job, they have a great relationship with their family, they got a lot of friends and family that they're in good ties with. They take good care of themselves, so they're in good shape. Um, and the interesting thing about confidence and being in a position where it's like someone will say, I've heard people say to someone else when they're in a breakup and they're feeling low, they're like, well, to another person, like, well, you're good looking, so you don't even know what it's like. So what they're saying is they were born ugly, or they're not good looking and they're not as good looking enough, so they have it harder. And the reality is, I've talked about this before. Yeah, uh, there is moments where, yeah, there's Brad Pitt, Tom Cruise, these type of people that are born good looking, or Beyonce, or all these people. But what people lose track of, I'm mentioning famous people because you could probably, but those people don't really look the way they look in real life, probably. But the reality is, a lot of people that look good put work into it. Is it uncommon for someone that looks good to exercise regularly, to not smoke cigarettes? I mean, is it uncommon for someone that looks good to get a regular haircut and dress nice? These are things that people have more control over than they think, and they think, well, I'm just like this. I was just born this way. And the reality is, if you put some time and effort into it, you can always look better. Um, and that's just an example of when people are victim state, and they're looking for reasons why they can't do better or be better, and they're going to get those results. And so, it's like Petty Betty. Obviously, you're in a line of work where you did manicures and pedicures. I think you still do, and you did hair, if I'm correct. Um, how you doing, Jen? Um, So you've seen people. It's like back in the day. When I used to be a teenager, my mom and my sister used to watch Oprah Winfrey sometimes, or any of those Dr. Phil, or you know what I'm saying. And they'd have these shows where they do a makeover on someone. How much better would the person look just from a stylist? This isn't from like plastic surgery, right? Maybe that's a typo, Petty Betty. Um, it wasn't plastic surgery. It was just someone that's a specialist and looking better could make someone over. And so, um, that's why you need to get a self assessment of where you're at in your own life and where you want to work on it. It's like, all right, I'm not happy with the way I look. Okay, go to work. You're not gonna be able to, unless you want just go straight plastic surgery. I mean, You're going to have to do some things. I don't have a problem with someone gets surgery, but that's not the answer only. I think that you still need to, make some diet changes and make some other changes in your life and things like that. That's a choice. But the reality is the person that pivots out of a breakup the fastest is the person that's most happy with themselves, with confidence, and a feeling of, I can do this. I'm a catch. Sometimes, Scotty, someone's out there, it's a bad time. If you live long enough, there's shit that happens in your life. There's a loss of a loved one. There's a loss of a pet. There's a loss of a job. These are things out of your control, and they definitely dent the road out of a breakup, right? And let's say that you're in a position where, and you think, here's the biggest thing, you think it's not fair. Life's not fair. No one's going to come out and save you. The reality is the part that sucks is it's fixable as far as your life goes, as far as finding a new job or overcoming the fact of a loss of a loved one or reframing it to a place that you can live with things. It just takes time. And that's where people are impatient, right? It just takes time. It just takes adapting, and it takes perseverance, and we'll get back on deck. And people are at good times in their lives at different times. To sustain happiness, this is what gets me about people that are like, oh yeah, I just want to be happy. Well, I mean, part of being happy is realizing what it feels like to be sad. Part of being happy is having a couple bad days a month so that you know what the good ones are. I mean, the reality of someone being happy all the time is a bit of bullshit, if you ask me. I mean, there's going to be moments that shit pisses you off. I'm sorry, if you're a human being, right? It's like, knock, knock, who's there? How they come knocking, not doing well. Oh, of course. I was thinking about this today. When you look at why your ex and you are staying with each other and staying to see each other, there's a variety of reasons for that, but you're supporting each other in some way. You're getting something from each other. But the reality is that someone can, okay, so there's an example of this, Scotty. Someone can hold on to an ex, hoping, wishing, and staying in contact, and that person can come back to them 2, 3, 4 years later, and someone's like, oh, how did it happen? Because they're in a needy moment where they need someone. For example, if someone, let's say someone gets, I was in a situation like this myself. I had a girlfriend. She had an ex-boyfriend. She had some bad things to say about him, bad situation. We ended up having a relationship for a couple of years that was pretty damn good. No regrets there. I've talked about it before, so I'm not going to get into detail on all the its and bits of it. We broke up, and it wasn't, the end of the world, but it was tough, whatnot. She got back with the ex-boyfriend that she had broken up with 3 years prior, that she talked bad about, and I think she had done it within a month of breaking up with me. This guy was on the sidelines for the whole couple of years that we were together as a quote unquote, someone might call the backup plan. I just thought, whatever, once we were broken up, it was on her. But the reality is, when she got into a moment where she was feeling lonely or sad, she was like, okay, maybe I'll go back to him now because, maybe he'll give me what I want. That's very convenient. And the guy was waiting and willing. And I think they're still together. Philip, get this shit. Her son moved in today. Well, Philip, that's one of those situations, dude, because not everyone's going to know what he's talking about. You have no control over that. Most human beings, their kids come first. Most human beings that have kids aren't capable of tough love. There's been a variety of cases I've seen over the years. At 39 years old, I've had one of my good friends had a brother that just never grew up. Not a bad person. I mean, obviously he'd been in a little trouble, but I mean, the guy was in his late 40s, and it was like hanging out with a 19-year-old. And someone's like, how does that happen? It wasn't mental illness. It wasn't anything like that. His mom had coddled him so much and let him live at home and still, cut the crust off his sandwich. I'm being sarcastic. That The kid just never learned how to swim on the deep end. And like I said, you'd hang out with him and it would be funny, but she was incapable of giving this guy tough love. And he wasn't even a criminal. I mean, he had gotten in trouble for drugs and a few things, and you could call him an alcoholic and a pothead, right? But the reality, there's no consequences to actions, and he just never grew up. And so someone like, how does that happen? Well, the parent just couldn't find a way to have tough love, and someone else is like, oh, well, that's what needed to happen. Well, you know what? If you're facing, I don't know what it feels like to face a situation where, if I put my kid out in the street, I don't know if they're going to make it, and I don't know if things are going to get worse for them. That's a really difficult situation, and that's for them to make as an individual. And if I had to guess, Philip, I don't know the situation with your ex and her son, but she's just not willing to give that tough love, and she's not willing to make that negotiation where she goes all in for you in the sacrifice of the relationship with her son. And I bet, knowing you and talking to you for a little bit, you're like, well, the son would come around. Possibly. The situation right now where it's at, Philip, you can continue to talk and continue to see each other, but I don't think the situation's ever going to get better. And the fact that the son really doesn't like you and now he lives there, he's going to be dug in. And so you're going to be, every time you guys make a connection, he's going to be right there behind her. And so you have to really ask yourself, should I just take a month of no contact and decide what I really want, and decide if I can put myself back on the market in a month or 2 months or 3 months? Because this woman, who I believe is a catch, good looking, smart, sweet, accommodating, is it possible for me to meet someone equal or higher value based on the fact that this wasn't lucky, but she chose me also? And the fact that you had such a great relationship wasn't just because of her, it's because of the way you are, Philip. Everyone's pain still hurts, no matter how trivial it might appear to someone else. Well, the thing about that, Joaquin, is everyone's working off a different set of life experiences and a different interpretation of those life experiences. Therefore, everything that comes up has a different angle. And so when someone's, this idea of someone being triggered by something, you think about, I remember when I had a job when I was 18 at a sporting goods store, and this girl was like 18 or 19. She didn't drive. It's like, why don't you drive? She was in a car accident when she was 12. Bad car accident. She'll never drive in her life again. It's like someone will be like, well, don't you want to overcome that? She didn't even consider it. It wasn't even negotiable, is my point. Like, it wasn't like, oh, yeah, I want to overcome that. I want to drive one day. It was like, yeah, I was in a bad car accident. This is why I don't drive. I'll never drive. But you do realize that you receive rides from other people. You probably have more control over the car if you were the one driving, right? It doesn't matter. This is how she sees the world based on a traumatic life experience. So everything's being programmed. I'm starting this really good book, Healing Yourself. And the thing is, neuroplasticity, you can reprogram your brain. It starts with you wanting to and believing you can, but you can. But the program you're running now is just past life events that you reassociate with new events in a negative, positive, or neutral way. Does that make sense? I'm going back to Myrtle Beach next week, and my brother is coming with me. Well, good for you. I hope it works out for you and your brother. Myrtle Beach is supposed to be a really nice place. Um, your ex wanting to see you, it could be very simple as they're horny. Yes? Yep. Very true. Strange. Maybe a man child. Same with her son. And that's one of those things, Phil. I just don't think you're going to overcome it. I think that there's certain parents out there that are not willing to take the chance. And that's a choice. You could sit there and you go, oh, well, that's stupid. I wouldn't do that. It's reality, dude. It's what it is. Different strokes for different folks. Sometimes you can push the parents to the limit and they'll cut your ass off. Here's the thing, though, Petty Betty. Some parents won't. Some parents are too scared. Some kids are able to manipulate. I mean, if your kid's really on alcohol or drugs or this or that, and you think that they have no ability to work or do anything, and the worst I think I've seen it with is people that are wealthy parents, people that have money, because they constantly, what does wealth afford you? Convenience, safety, security. And so they always look at like, well, let me provide that for my kid. Let me provide that for that kid. Well, if you keep doing that and your kid becomes 35, 38 years old, they're never going to turn the corner because they'll never learn. If they don't learn those skills by then, all they do is learn how to be a professional kid, a professional son or daughter. I would not put my kid out, but they would not dictate my life. And that's your choice, Philip. And that's the way you live your life. I know what you mean. I know what you mean. Yeah, it could be a codependent situation. Well, there's individual circumstances too, right? Where, um, someone that's your child, they know you so well that they know the buttons to push to make sure that you take care of them, right? Like they're not just because they didn't get an education or they're not in the workforce or uh, they seem like they're immature emotionally. They still know how to push the buttons of their parents, because who else do they know better? I mean, think about your dog or your cat. I've never owned a cat regularly, but I've had street cats that I feed occasionally or pet. But your dog learns you, right? Does your dog learn how to manipulate you? I understand guilt button. Yeah. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. It depends on the parent. It's like my father. My father's an ex-Marine, was in Vietnam, was a truck driver for 30 years. You're not going to manipulate him very easily in a situation. You're not going to be able to go, yeah, like when I was a kid, like there wasn't a lot of negotiating about what was, and I don't mean that. Looking back, it was actually probably a good thing in a lot of ways, because there was a lot of clear lines on things. And I have a lot of respect for him, and I have a lot of respect for older people. But I remember, like, shit, I was like 16 or 17, and I think I got fired from my job, and I was out of work for like 2 weeks. And I'm like, to me, when I was 15, I always had a job during high school, and I was working 30 hours a week, and most of my friends' parents were like, "Oh, we just want we just want John to concentrate on school or this or that," and they would they would get money from their parents for the weekend. Like, you go out for the weekend, or you have gas for your car. I got to go home real quick and get some money from mom. Never was like that, and I'm proud of it. And I remember, though, like I said, 16 or 17, I lost my job, but my dad was like, and I was in school. It wasn't like I was just sitting around, but I was sitting around more, right? My dad goes, "You got about 2 weeks. I want you to get a fucking job." I'm like, "Okay, Dad, I got a job." And it wasn't like he wanted money or nothing from me. He's like, "I don't want you sitting around lazing around here." I understand guilt, but in siblings too, that can be a codependent situation. Yep. Manipulator. Yeah, siblings can do it to you too. Sure. Manipulators often have enabling parents. Really? I haven't heard that before. So you think that they've learned how to manipulating the enabling parents? Here's the thing about people that are good at manipulating. Not everyone can be manipulated, right? So a lot of times when someone's like, "Oh, I fell to a narcissist," it's like, yeah, but it was because you fit right into their claws, right? Manipulation is a way of life for some, but there are some people where you can catch it. I remember this years back. This guy comes up to me at a pub and restaurant, and I'm eating my food, and he comes up. He's like, "Oh, where are you from?" Then he's talking really quick, And I'm like, "Oh, this, that, and the other." This is years back. He goes, I'm like, "Well, I'm a teacher." He goes, "Well, the teachers doesn't make a lot of money." He's going on and on. It's just he's quick talking. And I'm friendly. I'm whatever. We're talking, and then it comes. "Well, if you want to make a lot of money, let me know, mate. If you want to make some serious money, I'm going to tell you what I've been doing with the funnel systems, the internet, through this." And right then I went, "Later, dude." Right? And it was like a 10-minute manipulation sleigh ride. into, oh, where you from? What do you do? I'm interested. Oh yeah, you do that. Oh yeah, you're interested in making more money. Oh yeah, and very quick talk. And then I got to that point and it just went, I know where this goes. So some people after the fact of getting taken by someone like that, they go, oh my God, they manipulated me. Well, you played a role. There's certain people that are easier prey than others, right? When someone's too friendly, too nice, and then somewhere in the conversation it comes to a point where they want to give you an invoice. Uh, yes, they grow up getting away with. Also, they manipulate in relationships for that state of to continue. It's a habitual thing. They were raised that way, and knowledge, and they can do no wrong. Mm. Well, like I said, what it's funny because morals and values are taught by who you're raised by and the environment you're in. If you don't have a group of parents that are present because maybe they work too much or whatever, your environment's going to raise you, right? And what people don't realize is they can change, but people will only change if they feel like there's consequences to their current behavior. So next week, let's see here. Keisha, if you're still on, can you give me an email? Can you please give me an email with your current email? The schedule should be up. It should be up in the next couple days. What was the place for YouTube that you told me to put the schedule? YouTube something. It will be on Instagram. I never get away with shit. My parents are too smart. I'm sure you've gotten away with a few things. You know what my dad told me? I remember I was a teenager, words to live by. My dad goes, Mac, do whatever the fuck you want. Just don't get caught. I got to have my dad on a show one day. He's fucking hilarious. And he was serious when he told. I always remember that one too. It's just like another one my dad did. When I was in high school. My grades started to slip. In middle school, I got like straight A's. And email you? No, I'm asking Keisha to email me. She's saying she paid and she sent her story in, and I'm not seeing it. No, Indo-China time. I made every live stream. I'm gonna make every live stream this week. The times posted are Indo-China time, so however you want to look that up. I don't know what that translates for other people. I will book again next week. Maybe you can help me figure out how to wrap this up and leave the door open. Well, I'd be happy to talk to you again, Philip. It was a good chat we had. It was good. Sometimes, talking to someone like myself lightens it up. We've been taking it so serious, right? I tried to see adjusted to Eastern time. A lot of the times are 10:30 a.m., which is one of my favorite times. But next week I'm gonna have more. I'm gonna have 3 night shifts, which I don't usually prefer, but I'm gonna make an effort to see what comes of it. Any closing questions, folks? Philip, I'll follow up with an email for you. Since it's all about me, I like this time of night. Good for you, Jan. I hope you're well. I'm sorry I haven't gotten back to you about that long email. It's just sometimes I'll get a long email and it's like, and doing breakup coaching, it's like if you're a client of mine, I do want to give you my full attention. So one thing if I'm going to email, I have to sit down and look at it and respond and go into it. So I don't think I was able. I don't think I was able to give you all that. I did get back to you. Okay, good. You're a special client, and I wanted to make sure I did. It was like a week ago. I hope things are going well. Yes, returning to the top. My ex contacted me wanting to talk, but she was so clear when she dumped me. Don't know what else there is. Well, Joaquin, what do you want? Number one, what do you want? Is the problem in your breakup fixable? And why did she dump you? I appreciate you too, Jen. You know that. Uh, she cut me short. It helped me a lot. She cut me short tonight, and it didn't bother me. All right, Joaquin, I would highly recommend. How long were you together? How long were you? She fell out of love with me. Okay, but how long were you together, if I may ask? Four. Okay. This isn't a sales pitch. You can ask Jen or Philip or any of the people on live streams. It is. I guess it is. I would highly recommend a live coaching session if it's 4 years. Let's just unpack what happened, and send in your full story, and we'll go through it. Because when you got 4, 5, 6 years, you need to talk about it. There's a lot there. It's not that I don't help people when it's 6 months or 1 year, but you need to talk about that. That's a long time, and that's tough. And the idea that she fell out of love with you, you need to unpack that in a way that you get to the bottom of it. So, for example, like Rob saying, attraction dissipated, or did you become complacent? Those are all things that are possibilities, and you might agree with them. If it doesn't work out for you, or you don't think it's useful or helpful, I'll give you your money back. But if you, for example, like when Rob says that about the did you become complacent? I believe in my approach, and those are good questions, like attraction dissipated and you become complacent. There's more to the story of why that happened, and you need to get clear on that, if that makes sense. Right? Thanks, Philip. Thank you, Jen, for the endorsement. Those part that you're like, she fell out of love with me because I didn't make enough of an effort. We need to get to the bottom of like where that went wrong, so that you can be at peace with it and figure out maybe. And sometimes, like I think with Philip and even Jen, sometimes you're taking on too much blame. Sometimes you're misinterpreting something, and you're not letting yourself have a break or forgiving yourself for something. I've had people that, and this isn't your situation, Joaquin, but I've had people that, they had someone break up with them because they had a relative. This is one that always got my attention. This guy, they were both in their early 20s. They were really close, and both of them were highly educated. One of them was in medical school, and I forgot what he was in, some kind of programming thing. But anyways, his brother got cancer, like stage 4 cancer, a high level of cancer. And so they were in long distance, but it was only going to be short. In other words, he's moving to California eventually. So long distance is fine as long as you have a finish line. So he was going to be moving there. But when his brother got sick, he got really needy. And, he was spun, and he wanted her to be more available. Well, the first time she heard about it, she was there for him, but then she was like, I got medical school, I'm an intern, and I got tests. I can't be there for you all the time. Cut a long story short, she broke up with him because he became extremely needy and pushy, and even blameful that she wasn't understanding enough about what's going on with his brother. The reality was, like I told him, she could never know what that feels like. Secondly, her not being understanding enough, her breaking up with you because she somehow felt that you were impeding on her medical test during this time. This is something that This is something that you have to come to peace with, that in the end, you put your brother first because you didn't move out to California and your brother was stage 4 cancer. You won't regret that, dude. Even if this woman doesn't come back. And we needed to unpack that in a full way rather than just, oh, she left me and I can't believe it and maybe I messed up. Well, no, you were needy for a reason. It's like maybe the love, she fell out of love with you for a reason, or maybe you're not seeing something, and you really have to go through the story of what happened, and that will help. Um, and I think sometimes we're just not framing it in the right way. We're giving ourselves, we're making it way too serious. Sometimes we gotta, some of it. And I'm not saying about your situation. Well, some of it you gotta laugh about it and go, "Geez, where did this come from, man?" We got to lighten things up a bit. I started an email to you, but it is my draft because I got distracted and ended up doing something, but it's not all handled completely yet. I had 5 years and the coaching session helped me a lot. Thanks. Philip. I said that before. What does complacent mean? Um, Black Widow, what's up? How you been? Been a long time, man. I got an Instagram now, Black Widow, Coach Mac McCarthy, if you want to see the schedule for the live stream this week. After talking to you, I realized she knows it can't work for her because of who she is. Been MIA, looking for you on the milk carton. Complacent means that someone is putting any sort of extra effort in certain situations and everyone becomes bland, boring, or opposed to exciting. It's very common. It's very common in long-term relationships. And actually, some other part of being complacent is being habitual in whatever you're doing. If you have a 9 to 5 job, if you have certain duties at the house, um, working and trying to survive in this crazy world. Well, I'm glad you're surviving today. There's probably a better definition than that, though. I think that's pretty good. Well, we're towards the end here, but we were talking about why does your ex still see you? Why do you see them? Why don't you get back together? Or should you? So there's 3 different questions there. So sometimes you're broken up and you still see each other. And I shared a story that someone had sent in, and basically he was saying in the story how their intimacy had never been better since broken up, but they only see each other, once every couple weeks, and then they do fight. They're hot and cold. So obviously, in his situation, they're both getting something. He was also helping her out with rent. Big thing for me was to stop analyzing her in the breakup and start analyzing me. Mac, help me with this. What can I control and opposed to not? Yeah, it's true, man. It's not easy because I think when we're feeling bad, it's easier to blame someone. It's kind of like, I'm not really tall, but I'm 6 feet tall. So sometimes have you ever hit your head on a shelf or a bookshelf, or right now my current kitchen, the cabinets are kind of low. Every once in a while, you smack your head on it, right? Who do you have to blame? Sometimes you just want to slam the cabinet, right? And you just go, fuck, right? Like it hurts if you ever hit your head on the point of a cabinet. And the reality is you knew that cabinet's that low. You're a bit tall. It was an accident, but you actually should be aware of it because it's happened more than once. The reality when you're in a breakup, the hardest part about a breakup is it's one of those situations in your life where you're not going to get what you want a lot of times. And that's why you broke up. You're not getting what you want and you're pissed because you've been getting what you want in that relationship for a long time. And you're thinking, hey, this was really good for me. What the fuck happened? I think one of the real hard ones is, and it was hard for me in the bad breakup that I always circle back to, and understanding other people was, our relationship was really, really good. And my girlfriend at the time treated me really, really well for a really long time. So then when it, like when it didn't happen, I'm like, what the fuck? Where did this come from? It was like someone was speaking a foreign language to me. Well, her values and her identity changed because she got a new job and she was in a new place in life. Now I understand that, right? Uh, I just blocked my guy yesterday. It took a lot to do that. It's over, and I had to. Well, it's over is a big statement. I feel it's accepting it. Also, I definitely wasn't getting what I wanted. Also, what I needed. There you go. Are you getting what you want? That's why you continue to see someone if you're getting something you want out of it. People, human beings by nature are selfish. Whether they, it's like even me helping people with breakups. Someone will go, "Oh, well, you get paid for it." Yes, I do. I do go above and beyond, and I think it's good value. Beyond that, beyond the getting paid for it, right? Remember, someone pissed me off one time. I said they were on the live stream kind of regularly, and they're like, "I'll do a live coaching session with you. I'll support you staying in Thailand because I live in Thailand." I thought to myself, I don't need your support. If you want help with your breakup, he was framing it in a way like he was doing me a favor. And I remember this guy when he first came on, kind of had this negative, sarcastic, snarky way of acting. And I ended up turning the coaching session into a positive, and he was surprised. He was like, "No, that was really good," and he even paid extra for an extra 30 minutes. And the old me would have been combative and pissed off, and I thought, no, I'm going to see if I can help this individual out because they're paying me. And when you help someone with something, what am I getting from that um, beyond some money? Beyond money, actually, it's a really good feeling when you help someone with a problem that you've had in your life before and you know how bad it is, right? You know what I mean? It's like there's a lot I'm getting out of that on my end, um, that puts me in a good place and makes me feel good about myself. And so I think that's underrated. And I think people have underrated in a lot of places in the world, not everywhere, not every person. This isn't going to be a generalization, but this idea that uh, everyone else isn't doing enough. Everyone else, there's this constant narrative of they did this or we did that or they. It's like speak for yourself and what are you doing to make the world a better place? Period. Whether that's telling, you have an elderly neighbor that needs help with the garbage, or like just be more serviceable to other people around you, and then think to yourself, um, how much better do you feel about it? It's like I was on the beach yesterday, and the sun was going down, the sunset was going down, and there was this Thai couple, and the wife was taking all these pictures in front of the sun and stuff. I just stopped and I said, hey, bud, do you want to get in the picture? I said it in Thai. And he's like, oh, yeah. So I took a couple pictures for them. It's like small things like that. Did I get anything from that? No. The people were really thankful, said, big smile, and you just feel good. You're like, oh, that was a nice thing to do. Like pat on the back. Right? You know what really pisses me off? Once someone knows you love them, it's like they have a free pass to treat you how they want until you get tired and leave. Well, that's a perception you have from a relationship. So you're saying that the highest level of a human ability to feel is unconditional love. And you get to a point where you're in unconditional love, some people can take advantage of that. And you have to say, where's my power? I've been a good lover. I've been a good person. I've been a good mate, and I'm not getting what I want. And that's when you step up like you do, Black Widow, and you say, like, look, I'm done. It's over. I'm not taking this anymore. Because you always have to realize you have a part in the story. It's like it's just like forcing you to accept this behavior. You know what I mean? And that's when responsibility and accountability get taken in. Like it doesn't necessarily feel good, but that's when you start making moves. And that's when you start going, you know what, I got way more control of my life than I think. I got way more control. Way more control than I think. There are some things that aren't, and the things that you don't have control over, here's the punchline, folks. The things you don't have control over, this is where your control is, how you frame them. Seek to understand, not to be understood. How you do one thing is how you do everything. How are you going to frame a bad situation? Does it have to be rosy and happy? No, it just has to be something you can live with. That's it. It doesn't have to be like, oh, this is the greatest moment in the world. No, it's just got to be something that you can live with, that you can move forward with. Doesn't have to be ultra positive, just some kind of frame where you're like, you know what, that had to happen. You know what? It's like that's like taking you for granted. That's when I feel unappreciated or just taken advantage of. I'll confront if it happens again. I'm not gonna have resentment with my partner. Good point, Petty Betty. You're on point today. All right, folks, we're at 1:45. I'm getting a little parched here. Is there any closing questions? I just have to accept that a person's actions will explain a lot and not always have to ask why. You said it, I didn't. And you choose what you accept. If you don't like something, change it. If you can't change it, change the way you feel about it. Absolutely true, Jen. I know I've read that somewhere before, but that's great. That's exactly right. Thank you, Roller Girl. Thank you, Jen, Black Widow, Petty Betty. I'll be back on tomorrow, same time. Pokazemvi Lev. How to react? What an interesting name. What nationality is that? I'm just curious. How to react to my ex asking when am I having a free week? Wow, they didn't just want to hang out for a day; they want a week. I think that means that your ex is interested in hanging out with you. Russian, okay. I think that means that your ex is interested in hanging out with you and that they have been thinking about you. Does it mean they want you back? No, but a free week means that they want to meet up and talk. What else would it mean? I would need to know more to the stories to give you a bigger, badder answer, more tailored. But what do you think it means? Glad I caught you, love. I'll try and check in tomorrow night. Night. You too. Yeah, it'll be on 2 hours prior to this time, so 10 a.m. Topic, Rob, is gaslighting. Okay. Like I said, if you want to visit me on Instagram or follow me on Instagram, it's Coach Mac McCarthy. If you want to book a live coaching session with myself, it's writemac.com, WRITEMAC.com. Otherwise, have a good one, folks.